They packed their U-Hauls, sold their overpriced homes, and hit the road. From Silicon Valley to Austin, from LA to Dallas, from beachside brunches to backyard BBQs. But here's the million-dollar question no one's answering honestly. Is Texas really becoming the new California? Because while the headlines say migration boom, there's something deeper going on, something bigger than taxes, tech, or tacos. And if you think this is just about cost of living, you're missing the point. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a cultural, economic, and political migration that's redefining America's map in real time. For years, California was the promised land. Hollywood dreams, tech empires, surf by morning, IPO by night. But lately, people are fleeing. Not in ones or twos, but hundreds of thousands. And where are they going? Texas. Why? Lower taxes, more land, and fewer restrictions. But this isn't just a story about affordability. This is about two titans of American identity colliding. One liberal and weathered by decades of growth. The other conservative, sprawling, and wide open. But here's the catch. As Californians move in, Texas is changing too. So today we ask, is Texas becoming the new California? Or is it becoming something else entirely? It didn't start with Elon Musk. It didn't even start with Joe Rogan, Tesla, or Oracle. This shift, this tectonic migration of people, capital, culture, and ideology has been in motion for years, hidden beneath headlines and U-Haul data, whispered in boardrooms, debated in state houses, and chronicled in the lives of millions of everyday Americans. But now, it's undeniable. Texas and California are at a crossroads, and the lines between them are blurring. To understand what's really happening, you have to go deeper than cost of living or politics. You have to look at identity, the soul of a state. Because while California may be losing people, it's exporting something even more powerful. Its culture, its systems, its way of life. And Texas? It's absorbing it, at least partially, and evolving under the pressure of its own explosive growth. Let's rewind to 2010. Texas and California were already opposites in the national narrative. One was the land of startups, progressive policy, and beachfront innovation. The other was the home of cowboy capitalism, oil rigs, and no income tax. They were ideological foils, red versus blue, regulation versus freedom, coastal versus heartland. But behind the scenes, a slow burn had started. California's prosperity came at a price: skyrocketing housing costs, suffocating regulations, and wildfires that made entire regions unlivable. Meanwhile, Texas offered land, affordability, and political space. By the time the pandemic hit in 2020, that ember turned into a 5-alarm fire. Suddenly, remote work became normal. High-income Californians, trapped in tiny condos paying massive taxes, saw the light. Why live in a $5,000 a month shoebox in San Francisco when you could own a house with a backyard in Austin, pay no state income tax, and keep your 6-figure tech salary? The migration wasn't subtle. U-Haul literally ran out of trucks going from California to Texas. Real estate agents in Dallas were flooded with out-of-state buyers offering cash, often over-asking, pricing locals out of their own neighborhoods. And it wasn't just individuals. Companies started following. Oracle moved its headquarters to Austin. Tesla built a gigafactory and shifted its corporate domicile to Texas. Hewlett-Packard and Charles Schwab made similar moves. Even Hollywood began exploring Austin and Dallas for production. Not just for the tax breaks, but for the untapped talent and lower operating costs. But the deeper you go, the more complex it gets. Let's start with real estate. California's median home price is north of $800,000 statewide, with cities like San Jose and San Francisco routinely topping $1.2 million. By contrast, Texas homes in 2020 hovered around $250,000 to $300,000, an absolute bargain. But the flood of new residents changed that quickly. In Austin, prices surged more than 40% from 2020 to 2022 alone. Entire neighborhoods transformed. Historic East Side districts saw gentrification accelerate at an uncontrollable pace. Families who had lived in the same homes for generations were suddenly priced out, unable to keep up with property taxes inflated by incoming tech wealth. And that's where the cultural rub began. Texas wasn't just changing, it was being remade. Go to a bar in downtown Austin, and you might think you're in the Bay Area. VCs talk about decentralized finance over mezcal cocktails. Yoga mats outnumber cowboy boots. Restaurants serve quinoa bowls instead of brisket plates. This isn't the Austin your parents remember. In Dallas, it's not much different. The city once known for oil money is now buzzing with fintech, logistics tech, and venture-backed startups. The skyline is dotted with cranes. New developments are announced monthly. In Plano, Frisco, and other suburbs, Californians arrive with equity payouts and pay cash for homes that would be unaffordable for locals earning Texas wages. This migration has triggered economic booms and social tension. Local residents, those who built the cities, paid the early taxes, endured the underdevelopment, now face higher costs, longer commutes, and a creeping sense of alienation. It's the same feeling many longtime Californians felt when tech money reshaped San Francisco. Now it's happening in Texas. But here's where the story gets truly layered. Texas isn't simply becoming California. It's becoming a hybrid, one that combines the economic dynamism of Silicon Valley with the deregulated swagger of the Lone Star State. You see it in legislation. As more Californians settle in urban hubs like Austin and Dallas, voting patterns are shifting. Democrats are gaining ground. In the 2020 presidential election, Joe Biden captured nearly 47% of the Texas vote, the highest for a Democrat since Jimmy Carter. In Travis County, where Austin sits, Biden won over 70% of the vote. This isn't an isolated trend. Cities like Houston and San Antonio have swung left in recent cycles too. And while rural Texas remains deep red, the urban and suburban shift is undeniable. This ideological shift is pushing Texas into an identity crisis. Republicans who have ruled the state for decades now face a more divided political map. Culture wars over education, abortion, guns, and LGBTQ rights are intensifying. Not because Texas is static, but because it's changing faster than ever before. Some locals blame the newcomers. "Don't California my Texas" bumper stickers aren't just jokes. They're emotional pleas. But the truth is, most transplants aren't trying to turn Texas blue. Many are center-left professionals escaping California's dysfunction, not its values. They want safety, affordability, and opportunity, but without the crushing bureaucracy. Still, their presence changes things. School boards, city councils, and state houses are beginning to reflect that shift. And then there's infrastructure. Texas simply wasn't built for this many people. This quickly. Roads are congested. Public transportation is limited. The infamous 2021 power grid failure during the winter storm exposed the fragility of Texas's independent energy system. Millions were left freezing, powerless, and furious. That disaster highlighted the cost of deregulation and prompted serious questions about the state's readiness for a bigger, more urban population. Healthcare systems are straining, teachers are underpaid, urban sprawl is growing unchecked, and while Texas is rich in land, it's poor in long-term planning. The explosive growth isn't just a sign of success, it's a looming crisis. And yet, it's still attractive, because despite all these growing pains, Texas still offers something California has lost: a sense of space, potential, and freedom. It's the Wild West digitized. It's oil rigs and data centers, ranches and robotics. It's where you can buy 10 acres, build a startup, and raise a family without fighting off a $12,000 annual property tax bill. It's a blank canvas, and that's what America craves right now. Let's not forget the business climate. Texas ranks consistently in the top 3 for business-friendly states. No corporate income tax, fewer environmental restrictions, faster permitting. While California debates wealth taxes and tech regulations, Texas opens the door with a smile and a shovel-ready plot. The entrepreneurial spirit is alive, and for many that's worth the trade-offs. But what's the cost of all this transformation? For one, homelessness, a crisis long associated with California, is rising in Texas cities. Austin in particular has seen a noticeable uptick. Tent encampments appear beneath highway overpasses. Local governments, often unprepared for the influx, scramble to provide services. Then there's environmental strain. More people means more water, more energy, more waste. Texas isn't immune to drought or climate volatility. Its systems are being tested, and in many cases found wanting. There's also the cultural loss. As neighborhoods gentrify, as old stores close and new ones open with artisan labels and $6 lattes, longtime residents feel erased. They see their identity replaced by a curated version of progress, one that looks great on Instagram but feels hollow in real life. So is this just California 2.0? Not quite, because Texas still holds on to something California lost: a mythology of rugged individualism. Californians, even wealthy ones, are often fleeing an empire in decline. Texans, on the other hand, believe they're building one. That belief matters. Texas isn't just absorbing California's people. It's absorbing their capital, their ambition, their hunger for reinvention, and turning it into something distinct. A state-sized sandbox for the next generation of builders. And maybe that's the point. Texas isn't becoming California. It's becoming the next frontier. But frontiers are messy. They attract dreamers and drifters, visionaries and opportunists. They challenge the old ways and sometimes destroy them in the process. The truth is, no one really knows what Texas will look like in 2030. But we know this: it won't look like it did in 2010. Thinking about moving to Texas? Here are a few tips before you pack the moving truck. Do your research. Houston, Austin, and Dallas are very different cities. One leans energy, one tech, one culture. Know what fits your life. Don't assume Texas is cheap anymore. The influx has driven up rent, home prices, and even groceries in some metro areas. Understand the politics. It's not the old Texas anymore, but it's not California either. The push and pull is shaping the new middle. Adapt, don't transplant. Bring your energy, not your entitlement. Be part of the solution, not the sprawl. Tesla's Austin expansion now employs over 25,000 people, contributing to housing demand and wage growth in the area. Texas Governor's Economic Development Office just confirmed another 100+ California companies relocated their HQs to Texas since 2020. Austin rents rose 27% since 2021, according to Redfin, while property tax assessments are causing backlash among longtime locals. Dallas-Fort Worth is now the fastest-growing metro in the U.S., surpassing Phoenix in net new population. State lawmakers in Texas are now debating rent control policies, once unthinkable in the Lone Star State. I want you to imagine something. It's 2030. You walk through downtown Austin. Skyscrapers line the skyline. AI startups, film studios, and financial firms bustle behind glass towers. There's a taco truck on the corner, a yoga studio upstairs, and live music around the block. It looks like LA, feels like San Francisco, but it's still Texas, barely. That's the story unfolding in real time. Texas isn't replacing California. It's becoming the canvas for the next American experiment. A place where independence meets innovation, where freedom meets friction. So is Texas becoming the new California? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing is certain. America's future isn't being built on the coasts anymore. It's rising in the middle. And the real question isn't where we're moving, it's what we're becoming. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate you watching. If you found this useful, a like would be fantastic. And subscribing helps me keep creating content you'll hopefully enjoy. Please share your experiences and any questions in the comments. I always try to read and respond. Your support keeps this channel going. Until our next video, take care.